This is Mike Peacock for Misery Point Radio, and you're listening to Picks and Bones with Eric Moore.
Huge shout out to my buddy Mike Peacock for that intro there. Mike has Misery Point Radio. He actually covers a lot of the genres and bands and everything that I don't get the opportunity to do. He's going to be bringing your metal, your heavier rock, and he actually covers the whole gambit. But that's where his specialty lies. Where mine lies in Americana and country and outlaw and red dirt and all that. He's bringing you the heavier stuff, and he does a damned amazing job at that. So if you're not listening to me, you need to be over listening to Mike. Don't listen to me again. Misery Point Radio. Thank me later. Do a little housekeeping here. Shout out to BioBidet, our sponsor. Go visit biobidet.com. When you use the checkout, use the code BONES. Save yourself 10%. You're going to put the green and clean. Do something good for the environment. Quit spending all that extra money on toilet paper. This is completely worth it, and anybody can do this. You can hook the whole thing up in like 8 minutes. It's that easy to do, and you're going to make that much of a difference in the world. This week, I sat down with my amazing friend, Ann Long from the Ann Leigh Band. We were actually down at the beach. We had a chance to set up. We recorded this on the end of the pier. So this was an amazing show. She's an amazing woman, amazing talent, and I hope you guys enjoy this as much as I did.
If you share your whiskey, I'll bring my guitar. We'll sit by the fire, talk about who we are. Sing a song about the promise, a song about the light. Wonder why we ever even tried. I'm just a gypsy soul. You just wanted a hand to hold, someone to hold you tight. I just want to be free tonight, free to love, free to fight, free to fall, but don't we all want to be free tonight?
Today, welcome to Picks and Bones. I'm Eric, your host. I'm sitting here at the Garden City Pier with the amazingly talented and awesome person who I'm privileged to call friend, Ann Long. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm glad we're at the beach together.
I know.
That was a treat.
It's a definite treat, and everybody's looking forward to the show tonight. I see a lot of buzz going on.
Yeah.
And my family's actually down here, and they're coming tonight. They're looking forward to it as well.
Right. It's always cool to come out of town and have people that live in your same area come hang out with you.
Yeah,
when you're
for sure.
4 hours from home.
I was just happy that this was able to, we could make this happen with us being right down here. And it just happened that we were here at the same time. And, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But let's get into some talking about you and your music and everything. Okay. I know I've known you for a number of years now.
Long time.
Long time. Always loved your stuff. And I know one thing I want to throw at you, and this is a discussion we've kind of had before, is being a woman trying to come up in music around where we're at.
Right.
And everything. What are some of the challenges? Because I know you're not the type of person that you're no compromising. You are a very powerful woman that doesn't take any crap off of anybody, and you stand strong in being an artist first, and you put all the crap aside.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, I never really try to grab that whatever weapon of women, taking a back seat or whether. I've been fortunate enough to have great female friends in this and male friends, and I guess I just tried to look at what the people that are around me that have done, whether it's male or female, and that have done right and maybe not so right, and do some of those same kind of things. Whereas I was fortunate when I first started out, have some fantastic mentors that had done. They've played the Opry probably more times than years I've been alive, and they taught me a lot of things. Like Ronald Radford and Scotty Hawkins is, rest his soul. Some of those guys,
and Ronnie's awesome. Oh my God,
yeah,
what an amazing guitar player.
Yeah. I always say he's my music daddy. He's taught me so much musically and just life as well. And I don't know. I'm kind of dancing around the question, I guess.
Okay, well, let me put it this way: as a woman in country music, where we're at, what kind of challenges have you overcome? Other than because I know you get those traditional guys that I don't like booking female artists.
I don't know anybody like that.
I do, and I don't like that myself personally, because I'm sorry, I know a hell of a lot of female artists that will run circles around guys and kick ass and take names, and people don't realize, they don't want to give them that opportunity.
Well, I think people, obviously, each person has their own preference, whether it be just pitch and tone, and maybe attitudes. Sometimes maybe they don't want to deal with having the boyfriend or the girlfriend or the husband or the wife with male or female. But to those people that don't necessarily care for a female voice, I wish them the best. I'll still try to go out and support my friends when they're there at whatever venues that may be. And I try to put out as much good as I can. Just I listen to Tyler and Justin Clyde and Tyler Hatley, and they're dear friends, but they're also, whether they know it or not, even though they're a lot younger than me, they are also some of my mentors. And
I get it. Those guys,
why there's so much depth to them,
and they're humble about it.
Right.
That's the difference. That I meet a lot of musicians and artists all over the place, and I've been talking to a lot of them. And you have very humble musicians, and it's the humble ones that are always the ones that are the best.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
the one, if you get those folks that are so cocky and they can't, their attitude can't back up their abilities.
Right.
And that's not something I've ever encountered with you, because you've always been one of the most even-keeled. Just you try your best to be positive. You put out, positivity into the world, and that's what you're going to get back.
I do try to be really positive, and as going back to with Justin and Tyler, it was one of the things that as far as like, I remember hearing you ask them about pop music, instead of us focusing on what's not, we don't like, whatever. There's just so much negativity in the world. It's business, no matter what business, can be cutthroat and nasty.
Yep.
And I try really hard to focus on the things that are good and the things that are right and the things that we promote. A lot of people are not huge fans of Chris Stapleton. I tried to take the stance that he brought a newer generation into, a lot of people, credit, say, Tennessee whiskey to George Jones, and we know it's not, it's where,
it's two different. I mean, I look at it as, it's the same song. He did, but see, and people that are only judging Chris Stapleton based on what he's doing now never listen to the Steel Drivers. They never saw that bluegrass side. They don't look at all the songs that he's written that, they're out here drinking beer on the back of a pickup truck to, and, because it's an Eric Church song.
Right.
That, guess who wrote it? Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
So, the man deserves credit. I mean, he's definitely talented, and he knows what he's doing. And he's another one. He's not cocky about what he does.
Right.
He's just not. So, you balance being, an artist and a mom.
I don't know how well I balance that all the time.
How well can any of us really balance it?
Phew, man, I think that it's fair enough to say that probably the majority of people know that artists of any genre, whether it's music or dance or acting, theater, that a lot of times we struggle internally so much more than people know on the outside. And so trying to balance all of that and to put that forth in your music, you know, I could go out and write 1,000 sad songs easily. It's easy. That's easy to do. And I remember Sam Tate, I met him several years ago, and I had this little 15-minute songwriting session with him. And in school, I was always a writer, and I wrote short stories and yearbook and thesis papers and research papers, and all that was super easy for me. And he said, I've been trying to write these short stories. How do you do that? And I said, well, how do you take a whole story and put it in 3.5 minutes?
Exactly.
And it was a really cool conversation, you know, and he wrote for Emerson Drive, he wrote Moments, and, you know, he's this award-winning songwriter who's asking me, how do I stretch this idea out into short story that will go in a little publication or something. An article.
See, and you actually went right into where I was going to go next was, you know, what is your writing process? I mean, do you get your melody first, or are you one of the ones that you get that story and then then the music finds where it fits in that story?
I kind of cheated. I made sure I listened to a lot of your podcasts. One, because I love you, but two, because I
I love you too.
I kind of wanted to know what was up. I have written in a ton of different ways. It was no doubt a challenge when I first started to try to write songs, to not maybe make them too sing song, to not have a 5.5 minute song, and I have a song that's actually the first one I ever did write. It's probably 5 minutes or better, but I had just found out my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and it was the first time I'd ever gone to Nashville to meet a guy that I met through the Nashville connection with Lindsay Sipe. I think you probably know Lindsay. And we were talking about my dad, and he said, well, let's record what you have done just in case. Because lung cancer, it's not the greatest, survival rate. So we write that song, and it's right at 5 minutes now, and it still needs another verse. So, but the process, man, like so many people say, sometimes it's just a thought, and sometimes the whole thing comes, in just a moment. And the song that's on my EP, "The Ladies Get Rowdy Too," man. Took me forever to finish it.
Well, see, I was going to tell you that, you got this new EP out. Why don't you, let's talk about that.
Yeah. It took me forever. It's one of the first ones, after my dad's thing, I started writing, and it took me the longest time to finish that thing. And then there's every song needs a sad song, but
yeah.
And so I don't know if it's sad, but it needs a love song. And so the Fight for You that's on the album, it took me about 15 minutes to write that. So where passion and the life of a song comes from deep in you. Sometimes it's silly. I have a little silly song I started writing about this fella from back home. They called him Hobo Mike. But man, it's a cool story. Sometimes it's really deep, like Fight for You is a song about you fighting for somebody that won't let you love them.
Yeah.
And that's pretty deep stuff. I've had men and women say they relate to it. And I almost didn't even put it on the record.
I'm glad you did.
Chief talked me into it. Chief and Ronald talked me into it.
It's a great song, and you're talking about Chief and Ronald both. Yeah. Those guys are a heck of a mentors for anybody.
Dude, I know. I'm so humbled to be able to be around these guys.
And see, and that's what I think a lot of people don't realize. And I know I've kind of talked about this with everybody that's up from our area and everything. there are so many people and so much talent right there that you don't. I mean, you could almost turn in any direction and throw a rock and hit somebody that's played with somebody that's famous, or you got guys that have won Grammys and everything else, and you don't realize it because these guys, they don't go around bragging.
Oh yeah,
and they'll play with anybody. And that's, that was something we were talking about the other weekend when we were, we had the opportunity to sit down and just talk, because we don't get to see each other that much, but when we do, we try to catch up.
Yeah.
But how it's a different scene now.
Oh yeah.
Everybody's trying to support everybody, and everybody wants everybody to be a success.
Yep.
And if this guy can help you out, he's going to do what he can to help you out, and vice versa.
Yeah. And a lot of our little upstate area, if I can't do a show, then we try to toss it to somebody else, or something happens and a bass player gets sick, or we try to help each other out. Hey, listen, call this person, and try to figure out what to make sure we can all, because we all can't all can't eat at the exact same table every night, but we can all kind of share that wealth with each other. And I've also got to meet so many people that are not just in that genre, and now I love that there's shows that people are putting together with a country band and a rock band, and because if you were to really break down, I told Chief when we were doing like Fight for You, I wanted a rock feel to the guitars, and and that we all can learn something from each other, and I think it makes us better musicians. It makes your ear better. It kind of takes you in a different, the opening riff of Ladies Get Rowdy Too. That wasn't, Ronald did that. He came in the studio that day and he said, this song's had me up since 6 o'clock this morning working on this. He said, what do you think about it? I love it. I love that creativity of, helping to feed the good monsters that we have inside us. So.
Yep. And sometimes you just got to learn how to drink with the other monsters that are inside of you. That's a challenge. That's definitely a harder challenge.
For sure.
So we've talked about your songwriting and everything. What are some of your favorite venues to play? I know we're sitting in one of them right now.
Yeah, this is always a fun time down here. People treat us.
Literally, we're out we're 2,000 feet out into the ocean.
Right over the ocean. You can feel it
We're
swaying.
literally sitting here at a bar.
Yeah.
You got, waves crashing in the background, nothing but blue skies.
Yeah.
Come on. You can't get much better than this.
Spot. It's always fun. I love the beach anyway, but it's always fun to come out here. Oh, man. I try to make really good relationships with venue owners, and, some of these people I go to, my kids go to school with their kids, and you got to see them in real life. And if you screw people over, it's just not. I think you put good out, you get good back. So I've been fortunate enough to
just build those
about Reds.
Yeah, just build those positive relationships.
They're huge supporters of original and local musicians, and they work. Lakeville and Country Club is another one. Tribbles, they take a chance on people, and there have been times people took a chance on me, and man, I'm not going to cry because we don't do that in country music, but
that's wrong. That's not true. Yeah. That's not true. And if there's any genre of music that you could cry in, it's country.
Oh man, gosh, I hate saying this because I don't want to leave anybody out, but
just, you don't have to, go name dropping all of them, but I know, there's some great ones out there. There's some not so great ones, and you don't talk about those because they're.
God Rocks has been a great supporter of local music forever.
Yeah.
They've been a staple in the music community, and Sharky's downtown. I don't play a lot of places downtown, but we do a residency there. Greg and I kind of go back and forth, and
Greg Payne, that is,
Greg
from
Payne,
Piedmont Boys.
Yeah, and it's cool to kind of be able to intertwine with stuff like that where people. I'm easily distracted.
It's all right.
That's why they say they won't take me to Las Vegas. They'll lose me in the lights somewhere. But yeah, so switching off at Sharky's downtown, they let us bring people in and say, hey, let's do a songwriter night, and
I don't think there's not been many shows I haven't gone out to, be it Tyler or Piedmont Boys or Justin Clyde Williams or even Ziggy or anything that you don't get pulled up on stage to do a song with somebody.
Oh, I love singing duets. I love singing harmonies.
And I mean, that's awesome because I mean, there's several bands still that if I go out to see them, I get pulled up on stage to do a song. They're like, "Hey man, go sing that song."
Yeah.
People need to hear that.
It's fun.
You need to go do it.
It's awesome. Well, Ziggy has a duet, "You Ain't Gotta Lie," and we've done that together a few times. I love it. It's a great song. Joe, Greg and I did Gypsy Soul. When we put it
that's
on.
a great song.
He's got on his album, and one of the first times that I really hung out with Greg Payne, we were at Twin Peaks sitting around the fire pit, and this was back before they even had Josephine, and we were singing songs and all kinds of different stuff, and he said, "Do you know Gypsy Soul?" And I said, "Yes, I know it." And he said, "Will you put it on your record one day?" And I said, "Yeah, I will." And that was, gosh, I don't even know, maybe 13, 14, that long ago. But
God, it has been that long,
so
hasn't
now
it?
it's on his, and then now it's on mine, and then we also released it as a true duet. So
That's awesome.
yeah, pretty fun.
That's awesome. And actually, I'm trying to get everything worked out and doing a show with those guys.
Yeah.
We're actually going to do it from the RV.
That'll be fun.
So it ought to be really
be
interesting.
fun.
If anybody
Yeah.
knows the Greg Payne and the Piedmont Boys, you're down for a good time.
Whew. Yeah, my liver doesn't think so.
I think Greg should be sponsored by Jägermeister, honestly.
Yeah, I think they were at one time. It just
He
maybe
drank all the
ran out.
profits.
I don't know. I shouldn't speak about things I'm not sure about, but
True. Well, none of us should. But anyway, where do you, what do you want? Well, I mean, we're at a venue tonight.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want this crowd to take away from your show?
I always want to just for a moment for them to, connect to something. Maybe forget if they're going through something bad. Maybe they just forget it for a second, or if they're celebrating, they're celebrate that thing, whatever it might be. And I started out, I needed a nighttime job,
Mm-hmm.
and so I learned. I started learning and doing. It used to be all covers, and now we mix in our songs and covers still. But I don't know. I like entertaining. I like making people laugh. I like seeing them smile. I like making them cry sometimes. I like making the whole room quiet and when it's super rowdy, and say, "I want to tell y'all a story about this." I like telling stories.
You are a storyteller.
And I think part of, I was thinking about this the other day, is why is there such up in arms over, and I might get crucified by both sides about this, but I think that the more traditional, because we all know there's that traditional and pop country war.
There is.
We
There
know that.
definitely is.
And I think that those of us like Justin, and some people just like to play their music and not talk about it.
Yep.
But I saw Sunny Sweeney, who's also one of my favorites, up in Asheville, and she stopped and she said, "Hey," she was at the Gray Eagle up in Asheville, North Carolina.
That's
and
the one. I love that
it's
venue.
a great room. It's a great
Love
room.
it.
I love it too, man. So she said, "Do y'all want to hear stories tonight, or you just want me to shut up and sing?" And I like that, but everybody wanted to hear her stories. Even though some of us have heard them before.
Yeah.
We want to hear them. We enjoy that. And I think that is kind of, to me, when I think about country music, is that it has a root of a story behind it. And I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe that's part of why more of the quotation marks traditionalists, we feel very protective over that. Because that's the root of where country music started, was storytelling and that kind of thing. So it's my little 2 cents.
No, I like that too. So I'd actually pay you a nickel for that one. Now, when you do covers, you got to make them your own.
Yeah, I try to do that.
I mean, do you take, when you decide, you and the band decide, hey, we're going to do these covers, do you just say, hey, what's your approach to it?
Right. I think there are some songs that kind of lend themselves to a little bit of creativity. I never want to stray too terribly far from it because, that artist made it that way for a reason.
Exactly.
But, like we almost always do this, Johnny Cash medley, and, I'm a chick doing Johnny Cash, but it's fun, and, I've always loved Mr. Cash, so we throw it in there and we do it together. I've had people say, "Man, y'all need to I need to put that. They go, I know it's the cover, but do that because they love it. And I had seen a similar thing when I was in Nashville. I had seen a girl do a similar kind of thing, so I came home and started listening through some things. And a lot of people don't know I do play this much guitar. I do, especially with my girls are musically inclined in particular. Well, all the kids are a little bit, but particularly the girls, and so we'll sit around with guitars and mess with it a little bit. But I don't know. I just try to find ones that are maybe not so expected and have fun with it and watch. A song like Pride and Joy, it can kind of lend itself if people are dancing, having a good time. We can add some extra time to the song while they're dancing. So
well, and that's one that people wouldn't expect.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one of those unexpected.
Yeah.
I mean, not many women are going to tackle Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah. Well, those singing Cocaine Blues, they probably won't expect that one either. But
true, but either
but if
way,
you're honky tonking, maybe they will.
I mean, you got a honky tonk, man. And because you're going to get off the hook for the, bare bones.
Oh man!
I mean, I'll throw you.
You gotta throw me some. That's
I'll throw you some. I'll throw you some.
Okay.
But one of the things I'll go back to. Do you remember the first CD or album you ever bought yourself, or that you picked out?
I was trying to remember. I know that I want to think it was Paul Abdul.
That's great. That is great.
Straight Up Now. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good song too.
Tell me. Yep.
Okay. Okay. What about your first concert?
But the first cassette I ever had was Randy Travis. And my first grade best friend Kelly Sutherland at the time, she snuck me this tape that she had snuck from somebody else.
Nice.
I took it home and I put it in my little pink LA Gear thing or whatever it was.
Yep.
And I was listening to it, and I remember calling because I grew up around Raleigh, North Carolina, and WQDR 94.7, which is still winning awards today. I called him up. I snuck the phone into my room. I was like first grade, and I said, "Well, can you play Randy Travis?" And I can't remember. I was trying to remember. I think it was Forever and Ever, Amen. And they said, "Well, we don't have that in our rotation." And I'm like, "But it's on side B. It's the third song on side B."
So you ought to be playing it.
And I had no idea that, I didn't know anything about them releasing songs. I was like 5 years old. But
that's awesome.
My first concert was New Kids on the Block. I think it was with Tiffany. I think it was with Tiffany and Sweet Sensation. And I made myself a jacket. I had a slick navy blue jacket. I made myself one out of green and pink puff paint. And there were some girls there that hurt my feelings.
You need to make another one of those.
I didn't even go to the reunion concert. How lame was that?
I don't know. Yours didn't. You've heard which mine was.
Yeah.
If you've listened to the show at all, it's kind of hard to beat that one.
I brought you a firefighter costume, by the way.
Oh, nice. That'll be awesome. Yeah, I can't wear that. And then my daughter was listening to the Village People the other night. Yeah. I'm like, what the hell are you listening to? She goes, Village People. And then she's just like, I'm like, yeah, you're the devil.
Mm-hmm. They'll put you in your place, won't they? Real quick.
All right, so I'll ask you a few of the questions.
Okay.
What would be your death row meal? See, that's the problem. Everybody that's listening is kind of getting a heads up on, how am I going to answer this?
We're going to have to bring you some new questions.
I know, right?
I'll start thinking of some. I'm a steak girl, man. Give me a big old juicy steak. I like it.
I get that. That's probably my number one. And probably my two most unique were Trey Pierce said he wanted a bushel of blue crabs.
Heard that one too.
And you've got the bracelet.
So, yeah, I got the Trey Pierce, the T-Stones bracelet.
And it still glows in the dark?
I love those dudes. It still glows in the dark. I even have a tan line from it this weekend.
And then one of the other guys that I just had on, Meatloaf.
Meatloaf.
He's like, meatloaf and mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I hadn't had a meatloaf in a minute.
Okay, so wings, flats, drums. You're a flats.
I'm flats.
Sauce or dry rub.
I like them either way. If I get them dry, I definitely get a sauce on the side. Usually something hot.
Okay, that's fair enough. So somebody other than yourself that people should be checking out and listening to right now.
Oh, how much time do we have left?
We can take as much time as we need to, but
we got my buddies, the Brass Tacks. out in Oregon, the Brass Tacks.
Great
we
band.
laughed about that because it's really just Brass Tacks, but it's the Brass Tacks. Mike and the Moonpads just put out a killer album.
I've been listening to it.
I was digging that one.
I've had that and Whiskey Myers. I've been listening to those on heavy rotation this week.
I think probably Mike and the Moonpads has been my most recent that I've kind of grabbed. I'd heard some stuff, but especially, seeing them live, and that was some good stuff. Let's see. Of course, Tyler Hatley and Justin Clive.
Who didn't love the
all
Hatley?
Of them, man. The Piedmont Boys are always putting out some new songs, but I have to push them. So they're my brothers,
Yep.
Who else who's put something else out new recently? I don't know. I'm kind of digging myself a hole.
No, that's all right.
I'm a huge Sunny Sweeney fan, and I love that she's been around and kicking for a while, and running with the boys,
Giving them a run for their money, too.
Yeah. Yep.
Which is great.
Yep.
And I've thrown this at you before. What is kind of your personal mantra, your life philosophy? Now that you've had time to think about it.
Oh gosh, I think one of the things that I find myself frequently saying is it might be a bad day, but it's not a bad life.
I like that.
And it's real easy to stress about things, and some things need a little bit of stress and care, but
And sometimes it's better to just let stuff go. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that a lot. So, I know we're kind of ahead of the game when this is actually going to come out. What do you got? What's your September looking like?
September, we have a show at Got Rocks in Greenville, South Carolina, with the Piedmont Boys and with Ziggy Pockets, who's from Indian Trail, North Carolina. We're going to all do that show. I'm not sure what time doors. I know you can get tickets on, I think you can get it from the Got Rock site, but I know you can get it from the events on my Ann Leigh Band page and on the Piedmont Boys page, and probably Ziggy's as well. You can also purchase tickets because they are raffling off Josephine.
Really?
They're raffling off Josephine that night at midnight. That they're gonna pull the winning ticket to take her home. She's sitting out at the Plum Hollow Farm right now. So
does she run?
Yeah. At least she doesn't tell stories. So
I probably know some of those stories, and that's scary enough. I'm leaving it there.
I'm trying to think. Let's see, and then I always do. I say always, almost always do. The third Tuesday of every month at Sharky's in downtown Greenville. We hang out there and play some tunes and try some new ones out. And
You doing Plum Hollow?
We're due Plum Hollow. That'll be the first weekend of October. It's always the first week in October and the last of May. That's always a fun time.
I got to try to get out there this time.
There.
I've got to get out there this time.
Let's see, September. What else do I have in September? We're supposed to be in Columbia at the Carolina Western Pub. That's a fun gig, too. People there are awesome. It's right on Lady Street and right in downtown. It's an awesome little honky-tonk down there.
See, that's something I found. And people kind of give me grief about it and everything, but Columbia has a vibrant music scene, and they are very supportive of all genres of music.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, drama everywhere.
Oh, whoa. So, yeah, Western Pub, and I list these all on, you can Google it and find it there, and then it's on, I'm not so great with keeping up with bands in town, but Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, I put stuff on there.
Where can people find your music?
We are on...
And follow you and, all that socials.
We're on all
and
those
everything.
fun social medias. Yeah, it's all the same. It's all under Ann Leigh Band. Otherwise, it's too much for me to keep up with. I'm not as creative as some of them are, but... music. iTunes, Amazon, Premier, wherever you can download, those. I bought a bunch of hard copies, and I've actually sold a bunch, actually. It's really cool because, a lot of times people want to, bring back, like bringing back vinyls. I say bring back CDs, but
Well, and there's a lot of people that are actually doing vinyl.
yeah,
Because I know
it's awesome.
some guys out of Oregon that I interviewed the other week, Adam Larson and company. They do stuff on vinyl. They're starting to put out some vinyl.
Yeah.
Because he was telling me that, I mean, he's got a song that is haunting, all get out. He goes, you should hear it on vinyl.
Right.
He goes, if
It's
you hear it on
cool.
vinyl, he goes, it's
I know.
downright spooky.
I remember my parents had this big old, huge.
The big consoles?
Yes.
Man, I love those
and it
things.
had the 8-track thing over here and
Heck
different
yeah.
records. And I'd sit with my ear, and I call it burlap. It's what the speakers look like,
Yeah.
And I'd sit there listening. We listened to stuff like Turkey and the Straw and the Beach Boys and all that old stuff. I was trying to remember the song my daddy loved, Velvet Chains. And I wish I could remember his name, Gary. I don't know. He used to sing it to my mom, and they danced in the living room.
That's awesome.
That's cool stuff, man. Because and it's so cheesy. People say music reaches people, but it does.
It does.
It can heal a lot of things. And
Well, I think that's and this is something I've talked about with just about everybody, that music is that one thing that can bring us all together.
for sure,
Because music doesn't give a damn who you are, where you came from,
Right.
who you love, who your political affiliation
Right.
is, or what God you choose to follow.
yeah.
Music is just music, and you either feel it or you don't.
Well, in so many of those songs, you can break them down, and if you just, if you change some beats here and some chords there, my honky tonk country song ends up a rock song, just to be
Yeah.
changing a little bit, because
Yeah.
it's all we're singing about so much of the same stuff,
Exactly.
I forgot to mention Paul Cauthen too. I enjoy him a
love
lot.
Paul Cauthen.
A lot. We saw him in Columbia at.
Have you listened to
Senate.
Abe Partridge?
I don't know,
You need to check
I
out
haven't
Abe
yet.
Partridge.
but I don't know why he popped up in my head for some reason.
I like Paul Cauthen.
I guess we were talking about vinyl and
Yeah.
he came in my head.
Well, I won't keep you too much longer. I know you've got a show to get ready for and
I'm glad
everything.
we're actually set up early. It's pretty cool.
Hey, and I stole you away so they'd have to work
yeah.
for a few minutes. I loved having you on.
Oh man, I was tickled to do it.
Anytime
Glad you wanna have me.
we get to spend time together, I
Yeah.
love it. And, I want everybody to go out and check Ann Leigh Band out. Whether you see her local, download her music, follow her Facebook page.
Instagram, Twitter.
Yep, she's on all the
We're
socials.
on the streaming stuff too, if they want to stream it. But just buy a $5 CD. I promise it's okay.
It's
you can
worth
use
the
it as a
$5.
coaster. You can use
It's
it as a
worth the
coaster, it'll be all right.
$5, y'all. I actually downloaded it, so
Thank
booyah.
you. All right. We
I
appreciate
support my friends. I
Yeah,
support
man.
everybody. I just love music.
that. Yeah.
Now I'm throwing one last question. This is gonna be a unique one just for you.
Okay.
For these young girls wanting to get into country music, what is two pieces of advice you would give
Oh,
them?
man.
Because there's a lot of them these days,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of them that I've heard that I'm like, wow, that girl has got some talent,
Yeah.
and with a little bit of extra training and everything, she
Yeah.
could go places. And there's some others I'm like, darling, don't make the dog's ears bleed.
Oh gosh, I
That's
guess
just the mean old rock and roll
Well,
musician in me
maybe it's just blunt.
coming out.
Just blunt. The first thing that came to my head when you said that is get some tough skin. And it's true though, and I've met some wonderful, the most loving people. I've also met some pretty crappy people that literally didn't care if them not showing up meant I couldn't feed my kids that week.
Yeah.
Or my phone bill got cut off. I mean, that's just the truth of it. So tough skin and don't quit, because it's not a bad life. It's a bad day. Keep going. If that's really what you want to do, I mean,
And maintain your integrity,
yeah, that's right.
because you
Don't
don't have to
compromise.
be. You don't have to be. There's a lot of ways that women got into
Yeah.
music over the years,
Yeah,
and it does not have to be that way any
Yeah.
longer. You can maintain your integrity and who you are, and still be a strong, powerful woman like yourself.
oh gosh, I'll tell you, there was a guy from Nashville. He actually, I believe, was the owner of Printer's Alley at the time before they tore it down, closed it down. His name was Rick Tiger, and I remember when I first met him, we talked for a really long time, and he said, whatever your dream is, if it's that you want to be the biggest songwriter, singer, whatever in your small town, then be the best one. If it's your state, if it's your southeast, if it's the East Coast, if it's the country, whatever it is, be there fully, you know. And I came into the game pretty late, you know, but I love it. And I've been singing my whole life, but as far as changing over to songwriting, I'm still really new to that. I've got 100 things that I need to finish, but sometimes I won't let myself stop, you know, and just sit down and be quiet and let those demons out.
I hear you.
But just don't quit. Don't quit and don't compromise. So.
Good advice. Good advice. All right, folks. Like we always say, thank you again to Leanne
Thanks for
Long.
having me.
Appreciate you so much. And this is Picks and Bones. Y'all keep listening. Share. Get out there, listen. Go support some local music. And I will catch you guys next week.
I'm telling you now, and I won't tell you again.